Welcome to
Theories
of the third kind.
Welcome to Theories of the Third Kind. My name is Aaron. The other host joining me today is King Daniel.
Bow to me, peasants.
Oh,
just kidding.
Scary. Now, before we get into today's episode, we do have a quick announcement to make.
If you would like to support the show, you can do so by joining our premium subscription service, Supercast. For just $6.66 a month, you can enjoy weekly premium audio episodes that are all ad-free and have access to our back catalog of over 240-something plus episodes that are also ad-free.
There are an assload of them. Now, if you want to be a big baller shot caller and you want to sign up to our premium subscription service, you can do so by going to our website, theoriesofthethirdkind.com. Right there's going to be a Supercast button. You click on it and it will say premium or regular. Regular is $6.66 and gets you the audio version. Premium is $9.99 and gets you the video version. So you can do that if you want to.
Now, we know things are tough out there right now, so if you can't afford a premium membership, but you still want to help us out, you can do so by leaving us a written review on iTunes or Spotify.
That helps us out a lot.
However, don't feel pressure to leave us one. You don't have to if you don't want to. We just want you guys, girls, aliens, reptilians, Bigfoot, Sasquatches, chupacabras, ghosts, Illuminati members, underground lizard people, whoever or whatever you are to enjoy the show. Also, remember, our content is entirely human-made. No AI was involved or harmed in the process. Except for our graphics. Yeah. We definitely harmed them.
All right. So with that being said, that is the end of our announcements. And today's episode, as if you can't tell, is a Halloween edition. It's Ghost Stories 2024. And on today's episode, we are going to read a couple of ghost stories that we found online. And then we are going to move into ghost stories that have been submitted by listeners. And if we don't read your listener submitted ghost story, then more than likely it will be on our premium episode because it's exactly the same thing. We go over more ghost stories that were submitted by listeners, and it's good. And we share some of our own on the premium.
That's right.
So check that out. It's lots of fun. And we talk about Vegas on that and what happened in Vegas. It didn't stay in Vegas because we're going to talk about it. All right. So with that being said, let's first discuss our costumes. What are you?
I am a noble king.
Cool.
What are you?
A Roman emperor.
See, we had sort of the same idea.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about this. We just got our own costumes and then showed up and we're like, damn, okay, cool.
Works out.
Yeah. All right, so let's start off with this first ghost story that we found online. Dan, why don't you start it off for us?
My husband was in the back garden one day doing some jobs, gardening work. He came in white as a sheet and said to me, "There's a lady watching me from the bedroom window." We both went upstairs, but there was nobody there. He was shaken by it, but put it down to imagination, and we forgot about it for a few months.
My mother had died probably about 6 months earlier. My husband never met her, as me and her had been estranged for a long time. Also, we were away from my whole family at that time. But one day, I got a phone call from my elder sister. They found me, saying my mom was ill with cancer and wanted to see me.
It took me a while, but I eventually went to see them. So she went and saw her mother a couple times before she passed away, and she asked me to bring my husband to meet her. I said I would next time, never really having any intention of doing so.
Damn, it's kind of cold-hearted.
A little cold-hearted.
We both went to her funeral, where my husband met my family for the first time. A few months later, and after the lady in the bedroom incident, a package arrived. My sister had sent a framed photo of my mom on her wedding day to all of us.
My husband looked at it, went pale as a sheet again, and said, "That's the lady in the bedroom." He's very much a cynic, even now, and somehow managed to convince himself it had never happened and it was just imagination and eventually denied it had happened at all and that he had no recollection of seeing her or the incident itself. Another kicker is I haven't seen that photo for years. It just seemingly disappeared, and I haven't asked him where it was. So I guess she thinks that her husband got rid of the photo?
I would. Listen, if I was her husband and I was outside and I saw my dead mother-in-law just peeping at me like a weirdo and I didn't know it was her until years later, no. Yeah, I would not keep that photograph in the house.
It's kind of weird that that her husband never knew what her mother looked like until then.
Yeah. Well,
Very weird.
So let's go on to our next ghost story, which is called Car Accident. It starts off with, I have a bunch of ghost stories, but one that stands out was probably the time my then youngest son had gotten me up crying about a bad dream he was having, and this was at 3 a.m. He was 4 years old at the time. I calmed him down, and he told me he was hungry, and I was like, listen here, you little bitch. I'm trying to get some sleep. It's 3 a.m. You should have ate dinner, you little asshole. But he's like, Mama, I'm hungry. So we went into the kitchen for a snack.
Now, my youngest son was sitting there eating cereal when he kind of just looks up and then casually tells me the boy who woke him up is sitting in the corner crying.
Oh, fuck no.
Ugh.
Nope.
And he nods to an empty corner of the room by the table where we were sitting. He nodded. He's just like, the boy's over there. So I asked him why the kid was crying, just kind of humoring him, and then he tells me,
his mommy crashed the car up the road, and now he's trying to figure out what's going on. He woke me up. Please tell him to go.
So me, thinking it's my kid, still shook from the bad dream, look at the corner and say, hey, kid, go back to your mom. Get out of here. Scat.
You don't want your kind around here.
Ah.
We keep sitting there, and my son finishes his cereal and hands me the bowl. Just kind of joking around, I asked him if it worked and if the kid left. He looks at me really seriously and says,
yes, he told me the ambulance is coming, so it's okay. They're all dead anyways.
God damn. Not even a minute later, a string of cop cars and an ambulance go past our house, sirens ablazing. And I got this feeling of the most intense dread while the hair stood up on the back of my neck. I shook it off and told myself it's just a kid's imagination. And by coincidence, we all went back to bed.
A few days later, my neighbor tells me about the big wreck a mile up the street from us where some lady was going too fast and flipped the car coming around a curve and no one survived. This happened at 3 a.m. in the morning on the night my kid woke me up. I didn't dare ask if there was a little boy in the car.
I would have asked.
I would have asked just to confirm it. Then
Yeah.
I'd be scared.
Yeah. Man. So those are the two ghost stories that we found online. And now we're going to get into the juicy ones, the listener submitted ghost stories. All right. So the first one we have is from Sean K. It starts off with, hi, Dan and Aaron. Let me start by saying I'm a huge fan of the show and always recommend people to listen to your podcast and have listened to the show since 2019.
Ooh, spooky.
Wow. He's been a day one listener, huh?
Damn, that is day one. Oof.
Yep. I listened to your show the other week about Lancashire, and that's where I'm from.
There are also a few Halloween stories and gatherings that happen in Lancashire and the places that are haunted. If you're interested in looking into them, and that's the White Lady and Pendle Hill Witches. I never heard of those ones when looking up that stuff.
I think I've heard of the witches, but never the other one.
Pendle Hill reminds me of D2. Pendle
It does, yeah. But as for me, my story, it was from when I was a kid, and I went over to a friend's house to play out, and I was knocking on his door, only for no one to answer. Being a cheeky kid, I then looked into the living room window, what a freak, to see a person walking up and down the room. So I got down and continued to knock at the door, knowing I saw someone home.
Can't get away. I saw you in there. Open the door. Again, I looked into the living room and saw the same person. So I knocked on the window and it stayed still, only for me to notice it was a dark figure, but more like a shadow and had no face. I then ran back home and got my older brother, and he came back and also saw the same thing as I was seeing.
Nothing scary happened, but knowing it was just not me seeing things made it worse. The fact my brother did too. Thank you for your time and your podcast and the amazing work you guys do. Keep it up. From Sean K. from the UK. Sean, I give that story about a 1 out of 10. 1 being the lowest.
I mean, I would be scared, seeing a shadow, then it turned and looked and had no face. But then again,
the windows are blurry, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not very good, Sean, but thank you for being a day one listener. We love you and we are proud of you.
That's right. Much love.
All right. Tell us about this next story, Dan.
All right. This next one is from Nicole H. It starts by saying, "Hi, guys. I'm a big fan of the show. My mom just recently showed me the Theories of the Third Kind podcast, and I am obsessed. I have a short ghost story for you guys if you have another episode on this topic," which we do. Ghost stories.
For context, I am one of 7 kids. God dang. Her parents were.
We know what Aaron wants me to say.
Fucking.
They were fucking.
I'm the oldest. My mom and dad were together and while we were all younger, but have separated since I was about 6 or 7. The house I reference has a weird build-up to it. Up the steps to the right was a nursery. Keep going through the nursery and you pass the attic door and you come to my room.
My dad was also not a fireman, for reference.
That's random.
Yeah. We moved into a house in Pennsylvania from New Jersey when my youngest twin siblings were born, November 2002. I was roughly 4 years old. I hated being in this house. Something felt wrong and I would have nightmares every time I stayed over. So I was basically living at my grandparents' house.
One night, my grandparents had dropped me off at my parents' house because they had to go to a wedding the next day and I couldn't attend it. While crying my eyes out, my grandparents said goodbye and that they would see me tomorrow. My mom then took me to bed upstairs.
Go to sleep, you little shit. I did fall asleep for a little, but was awoken by a voice. I didn't move, but opened my eyes. I felt paralyzed, but calm in a sense. I remember looking up at the window and seeing the bright moon above the house.
I turn my head and look over and see a tall man in my doorframe. He was wearing boots, big fire equipment, and a helmet. I thought it was my dad. I was unleashed in the paralyzed state. That's an odd sentence. And swung my legs over the side of the bed, facing away from the door.
Makes me think. She said her dad wasn't a fireman, but she thought the fireman outfit was her dad.
Maybe just because of the size of the man standing in the doorframe.
By the time I turned around, no one was there. I quietly tiptoed past my sleeping twin sibling and followed the hall down the stairs. Halfway down the stairs, my mom says, "What are you doing awake?" And I replied, "Daddy's home. I just saw him."
My mom then proceeds to tell me that my dad was in fact not home and to go back to sleep. I turned back and started to head towards my room through the nursery. As soon as I passed the attic door to go back into the bed, the attic door opened. Now, mind you, this was a locked door from the inside of the attic. The end. Wait, what? Hold on, Nicole, hold on. What the fuck, Nicole? I mean, you lead us up to that. The attic door opens and then you end it. Is that right? Off with her head now?
Off with her head.
Well, yeah, you have been, yeah.
You built it up and then ended it.
Yeah.
I was expecting something to pop out of the attic or something come out like, "Got any games?"
Yeah.
But she did say that the fact now that she's older, she did some research in the house, and lo and behold, there was a fire and a fireman did die in the house.
It reminds me of the fire that happened at a house that or a duplex I used to live at.
Oh, the burnt man?
The burned man, yeah.
Mm.
Scary.
I remember the first night I stayed there when we came down in 2012. I slept in the room second. My brother slept in it first night. I just remember laying there and the door just kept opening and closing. And I'm like, oh, God, this is it.
That place was haunted, man. I tell you what, I remember I came home one day from an outage. I'd been gone for months. And I come home and there was blood dripping from my hallway all the way to my kitchen sink area, like blood droplets. So I called the police. I'm like, I haven't been here in months, and there's blood spots on my floor to my sink. And they're like, well, we don't know what to do. Just they told me to get a fucking Q-tip, roll a Q-tip up and then put it in a baggie and then store it somewhere. I'm like, shouldn't that be your job?
That's
I'm not
their job.
CSI. What the fuck? So yeah, that was my experience with that.
Way to go, police department.
And then there was like something that was like really loud, like a water heater or something. Guy came in and checked it and was like, yeah, it could explode at any time. And I was like, well, you should probably tell the landlord. Landlord was like, we're not going to replace it. We're going to wait until it doesn't work anymore. I'm like, oh, so when it explodes.
When it explodes.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Nice. All right, so let's get on to the next story, which is from Spencer B. This episode is sponsored by Shopify. As some of you may know, years ago, our website used to crash all the time.
All the time.
We used to upload an episode and then it would crash. And I'd have to call Dan, hey, is the website up?
And this would be like late at night. Get up, check it. Nope, damn it.
And this would occur again and again until finally we switched over to Shopify. And surprisingly, our entire website is ran through Shopify.
That's even including the merch.
Yep, it's all on one site, super easy to use, and you just drag and drop and you can build your own website.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify.
Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/theories, all lowercase.
Go to shopify.com/theories to upgrade your selling today.
Shopify.com/theories. My story is about messages from the dead, a skeleton, another dead body, and more. Holy shit. Hope Vegas was sick, you guys. Hope this makes it in. Vegas was indeed sick.
It was.
If you like smelling shit. Because that's all it smelled like there.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I thought you were talking about just MagicCon itself. And I was like, oh, yeah.
No,
air.
Yeah, look, MagicCon did not smell. There were a couple times where I walked past somebody and I'm like, they need deodorant. But that only happened like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it wasn't really as bad as I thought it would be.
No, like when you go to a local tournament, oh my God.
There's a couple stores, if they're having a tournament, I will not go to it because it is very, very
stinky.
Yeah. Anyways, another body. The more I type, the more I realize how weird this all has been. This is my story over the last 5 years. It involves messages from the dead, an unidentified skeleton, a body in my driveway, and although unrelated, now an axe murderer.
All right, let's take it back to 2018. Montauk chairs, anyone? When I purchased a few acres deep in the mountains. This property had a couple cabins, one modern and one falling apart. It had been on the market for 15 years without a buyer and was listed for literally half the price of similar properties in the area. And for whatever reason, the locals were not interested. I would soon find out why.
Now, the first strange thing was the previous homeowner refused to meet with me. He left zero info about the property's history and zero info on how to maintain the place. I found this to be quite odd, but was happy with the deal I was getting. This was a dream property after all.
So I began cleaning out the previous owner's clutter and the land in general, and this is when the strange occurrences began. One particularly troubling day, I started digging in a new fire pit. It was tough digging, and I slowly uncovered something odd. To my surprise, it was a small skeleton buried in a shallow grave right where I was digging.
I felt unsure of what to do, but couldn't confirm if it was human or not. So I hate to admit it, but I threw the bones down a nearby ravine with the rest of the diggings. I promised myself if I found a human skull, I'd call the sheriff. Never did find the skull, though.
Oh, Jesus. And you're admitting this to us? At the same time, people staying with me were complaining about their dreams, and I must admit, myself included. Dreams of a grizzly bear attacking the cabin every night, or a gunman trying to shoot me every single night. Dreams of a man I'd never met before. I tried to remember his face, but the lights often flickered with power surges. There were moths in the cabin, so bad that I wanted to move out.
I was catching 40 to 60 moths a night in homemade traps. Holy shit.
That's a lot of moths.
We went through all our food and switched to moth-proof containers. Didn't help. And then there was the motion sensor light. I was living alone now, and almost every night at the same time, 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., the motion sensor light at the front door would turn on.
There was never anything out there. Even in the winter, there were no tracks of any kind. The sensor range is very small, and you pretty much have to be at the front door to trigger it.
It eventually got so annoying that I turned the motion light off. I would also wake up about once a week to find my electromagnetic floating globe on my desk to be knocked over. This globe has always been on the same desk and does not fall over unless it is touched.
It does fall over if the power goes out, but the clocks in the kitchen reset when that happens. One time, I came back from a trip to find the globe spinning in the opposite direction. It has never spun in that direction ever. You have to move it to do this. I have no answers.
One morning, I tried to calm down after finding the globe knocked over again. I literally think to myself, it's okay, there's nothing weird going on, and it's gonna be a good day. 15 minutes later, I'm driving down my long driveway, and at the end, I see a sheriff's car. I see lots of sheriff's cars, and fire and EMS vehicles.
Apparently, someone dropped dead in my driveway. The fuck? A highway worker. May he rest in peace. I still mean to build him a cross where they found him. There have been several deaths on the property. I learned of another in a very unorthodox way.
So life moves on, and in 2022, I was living with my then girlfriend at the property in the modern cabin. We decided to remodel the older, falling apart cabin to make it livable once again. It had holes in the floor, black mold, and animal droppings everywhere.
One day, I was out working on the chimney, and my girlfriend was tearing out the old sheetrock inside. She yells,
"Babe, there's like a second wall here. What do I do?"
I've been a carpenter all my life, and I've never heard of that. So I was like, let me come check it out, babe.
I come down my ladder and walk inside to find a second layer of sheetrock flat against the first. We started peeling back the first layer, and to our absolute horror, we discovered floor-to-ceiling suicide notes, poems, murals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Murals, and messages of hate towards previous owners of the property.
We could not really comprehend what we had discovered. We did not believe it, but the more we read, the more we were sure. These were messages from the dead, messages full of hatred. Things like, I've had enough of this slave labor, and to this, my last shot, to hell.
There was also a floor-to-ceiling mural of a raven, all done in black chalk. We have pictures of all of this. Apparently, it was the old builder's son's notes. Supposedly, he lived here for free in exchange for labor. He did off himself, but can I get a local to confirm where he did it at?
But honestly, I just want his poor soul to rest and to not let the evil that has spoiled this land for so many years spread elsewhere. But I'll send those pics of the wall to Aaron if he wants, or trade for nudes of Dan. Just kidding. But he really did say that.
He did say that. Anyways, in the end, we decided against the remodel and just to demolish the old cabin completely. I made very sure that every piece of it went to the landfill and off the property. Since then, I can confidently say that I don't feel the presence anymore or the dread that used to fill the air here.
It feels lighter now and happier. The globe hasn't been knocked over in months. The motion light doesn't randomly turn on anymore.
Whether the spirits that roam this land have moved on or have just accepted me and what I'm doing here, either way, it feels very peaceful here now, and I'm proud to be here.
P.S. Fun little side note. There's an axe murderer currently on the loose right now. The sheriffs were in the woods behind my place yesterday looking for him. He killed someone last week a few miles from me and now has a shotgun and a handgun along with his axe. Yes, it's real. Yes, this is real. It's his second murder now. They think he's in the woods. Happy Halloween, I guess. And then he ends it with love, proud, peace, kneecaps. P.S. I'm innocent.
I don't know.
Damn, that's crazy. But we would like to have those photographs if you have them.
You can have Aaron nudes.
No, you will not have those. But you can sign up for Dan's OnlyFans, where he shows his toes.
Just toes.
Just his big toe. It's just got a little crown on it.
The nails painted with the crown. Hail the king.
You should pull your feet up and then blur them.
Oh, gosh.
It's too much work.
Too much work and have my pants legs pulled up. It's hot in here, okay? All right. So the next one that we have that's submitted is from Michael K. And it starts off with, hello again. I actually submitted this story on the first Ghost Stories episode back in the Donnie and Kate era when you guys used to have the funny intros.
Damn.
Those were...
That is the very beginning. That is May 30th of 2019, June of 2019, July of 2019.
Those intros took a while.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
So to keep this short and sweet, I was managing a pizza restaurant that was in a very old building. One night, a newer cook sent me a picture of the pizza dough to make sure that we would have enough for the next day.
I immediately noticed a figure in the picture, and I have it attached to this email. It still gives me chills to this day to look at. When I asked him about it, he said he'd never noticed it, and I asked him to try and recreate it again with his phone, but it never worked. A few weeks later, my boss was sitting in the office counting money with 2 servers. They were the last 3 people in the building.
On a filing cabinet across the room, there was a box with lots of office supplies that began to shake vigorously for a few seconds, then stopped. They literally threw the money into the safe and hauled ass out of there. It was all caught on security camera, and he showed me the next day. I really regret not recording it because it was hilarious and creepy at the same time.
I've been listening since the beginning, and all I can say is I love you and I'm proud of you. Boom. And he does have the photos attached, which, as you can see, they progressively get...
You could definitely see that like something's there, which is very odd.
You can see the trays, and to the right of the trays is like this weird ghostly looking figure.
It's like something's wearing a white gown.
Yeah. Ooh.
It looks like a baby face. I see a baby face in that.
I see eyes, like weird looking eyes. That's kind of scary.
That is kind of scary.
All right, so let's go on to our next story.
All right, this is a short one. This is from Tristan. And it starts off saying, I was about 11. My sister had some friends over for a sleepover, and we decided to play around with a Ouija board. Afterwards, I decided to go to bed, and now I'm laying down.
My bed was metal and had metal bars horizontally supporting the mattress about every 3 to 4 inches. And under my bed were boxes, maybe about 1 to 1.5 inches between the bars and boxes. I felt something push up on the mattress and go from my feet to my head.
There is no way anything could be under my bed, let alone be able to push up on the mattress. I'm a very hard skeptic, but I still can't explain what that was.
It's a ghost trying to give you a massage.
Yeah, from what?
Thanks for summoning me.
Feet to head?
All the way down. That's kind of weird, though.
Do you feel better now? You summoned it with the Ouija board, and now it's giving you a massage. So obviously you were very nice to it, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, it probably would have grabbed you and pulled you through the mattress.
All right, so let's get on to this next story, which is from Michael R. from Minnesota. I totally forgot about this and figured I'd share it. Not really an insane story, and there's got to be a rational explanation, but my friend and I would go out at night and roam around when he would sleep over, sometimes at random times, after midnight even, when we were between 13 to 14 years old. This was around 2009. I'm shocked we were never stopped by cops.
I lived right next to the elementary school I went to, and our middle school was about a mile from my place, so it was just easy for us to walk around these properties. And again, surprised we were never stopped by cops.
We made it a routine to just walk around the middle school, It was creepy on purpose. I love the liminal feeling of looking into an empty building. And of course, schools and hospitals just feel especially haunted. Well, we heard a little girl singing.
It was about 2 a.m. I don't know why that would be happening unless someone was like on the roof with a speaker just hoping teens would walk by. There was no music, just the voice, the girl singing. Long story for something I could summarize quickly, but yeah.
It was a long time ago, but I still don't get where the sound would have been coming from. We didn't have smartphones. You can tell the difference between a projected hum voice and something coming from a speaker.
It didn't last too long, and while we were scared, I think we were more puzzled. I mean, I would be puzzled too when you hear just like a random girl singing, but that's like...
He said there was no smartphones back then, but 2009, I had an LG Chocolate, and I could play music from it.
2009, I had a Droid 2 Global. I think that's... Or was it the... I had like a slide keyboard phone.
Sidekick.
Nope, it was a Motorola one. It was silver, and it was super friggin' heavy. It was made of pure metal.
Oh, damn, you could kill somebody with that.
Yeah. I think I still have it at my place in Virginia.
It's where Dan has all of his nudes on.
Yep. All in 240p.
Well, thank you for that exceptional story, Minnesota Mike. Great stuff. You know, when I was younger, around 13 to 14, I used to sneak out with my friends and run around the town. Did you ever do that?
I wasn't close enough to town to do that.
Yeah, it was only when I would spend the night with friends who lived in town.
None of my friends. When I say my town was small, it was like really small, and the only stores were like 10 minutes away.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I mean, there was one store that was like 5 minutes away, but they always closed early. It was like a little convenience store. But yeah.
Okay.
Nowhere for us to really go.
Well, that sucks.
Unless it was a graveyard, cemetery, or haunted house.
Yeah.
Which we did have that.
It's been so difficult to rest in peace with all these crows flying around.
You heard it here first. It's hard to get any rest when there's all these crows flying around.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if that even picked up.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, so that right there was our last submitted story. Again, if we did not mention yours, it's going to be on our premium episode today. So go over there, take a listen to that, and that's where your story is likely going to be, because every listener submitted story we ended up including.
That's right.
So there you go. All right, Dan, do you have any stories you want to mention, or do you want to save it all for premium?
I'm going to save mine for premium.
I am as well. And I'm going to save the Vegas stuff for premium as well. Talk about how all of that went, how the flight was. Very odd how we had to go to a complete different terminal, or a complete different fucking airport, pretty much.
I mean, it was pretty much like a different airport.
And then we had to walk out to get on our plane, which I've done it once before.
I've never done that.
But it was a very small plane that I got on, not a giant plane.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience.
And then the people almost fought on the way back.
Oh, yeah, that was...
What the fuck was going on with those people?
Fucking prick.
Yeah. Fighting over, what, luggage space up above?
Well, we had to pay for carry-on. I guess someone paid for carry-on, and they put one of their, like, backpacks up there.
Oh.
And you pay for carry-on, but you don't actually pay for the headspace.
That's so dumb.
So the guy was upset that, oh, you only need to put big bags up there. Backpack don't need to go up there. If the man paid for the carry-on, I think he could put it up there.
Mm-hmm.
So, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, I want to thank you for joining us today. And again, thank you for your support and your love. And everything. Without you, this show would not be where it's at. And we could not continue.
That's right.
So with that being said, Dan, you want to roll us out?
Sure will. It's okay to be out of this world with your thoughts.
Because you are not alone.
Hail the king!
Ooh.